It's the NTT20 betting show, sponsored by AK Bets, and it's me, Ali Maxwell. It's him, George Ellick, making betting picks ahead of a full slate of EFL action. Those are the weekends that we live for, so that's just as well. This is for over 18s only. We're talking about betting, and that comes with significant risks, so make sure that you brush up on the risks that come with gambling. Head to gambleaware.org to brush up on them. Last week was a profitable one, which is really nice to be able to say. I won a long shot, which is really exciting to be able to say. Dutched 1-0 and 2-0 Walsall at Salford, and they won 2-0 at 12-1. I had half a point on that. Both of our naps won as well. West Brom to 0, 6-4. Birmingham, yours, 23-20. Your next best, Wimbledon draw no bet, was a void up at Bradford, a draw, and mine, Charlton, was a loser. Both of our goal scorers failed to score, and Oxford didn't win your long shot despite going 1-up and missing an open goal at 1-0. But in total, George, I was 6.5 points up on the week, and you were a smidgen up as well.
Yes, I'll take the smidgen, but you did very well indeed. It should be said, we are getting good prices here, and for those following, having done it for 2 or 3 seasons prior to this, where we were constrained by the prices we were given, for AK Bets to basically going top price on all of our picks is pretty significant. And I think, if you are watching this or listening to this and you are backing our fancies, I kind of can't speak strongly enough for the accumulatively over the course of the season. If you are backing these, if you back them with AK Bets, you'll be getting on at the top price of the market, and that will have a significant impact on your returns come the end of the season, because there are big differences. So thank you to them for doing it. They've gone aggressive with us today, almost quite offensively so, where we've sent them our selections this morning, and they've knocked out to kind of the very best price in the market for basically every single one. So
yeah, it's a knock on the ego, but it's definitely a great thing for the bottom line overall. And so overall, happy with it. The ego does take a bit of a knock when you go I think this is a good bet this weekend, guys, and they go cool, we're going to be knocking that out.
And value, I know, and value is the most important thing with all of this stuff. So if you haven't got an AK Bets account yet, make sure you look in the description to this podcast, where you can find a link in order to sign up for one, and then you can back all of these at the top prices in the market, which is something I would implore that you do.
Let's see what we can find this week, George. What's your nap?
My nap is Leeds, but not just Leeds. Winter nil winter continues. I might be wearing shorts. Don't let that fool you, those watching on YouTube, because winter nil winter is still with us. Leeds to winter nil at home to Coventry is my nap at 19-10, which again is the best price in the market with AK Bets. As short as 7-4, 13-8 with some major bookmakers. So Leeds, for my mind, are the best team in the league still, despite results maybe suggesting otherwise. They played 6 games this season. They've kept a clean sheet in 4 of them. The 2 games they haven't kept clean sheets in were both at home. The first was on opening day of the season, where they conceded 4 shots on target against Portsmouth and conceded 3 goals, one of which was, of course, a penalty. The XG of those shots they had in the game from Pompey was under 1. And then last time out at home, they were beaten 1-0 by Burnley, with Kolyosho's shot being one of just 3 on target for Burnley that day, and again an XG of under 1. So Leeds' defensive unit last season was incredibly important to their success, and I think we're seeing from 4 clean sheets in 6, and the fact that the 2 games where they have conceded goals, they've still been relatively solid and haven't conceded too many chances. It suggests to me it's going to be again. The 39 shots they've conceded this season so far is the fewest in the whole league. And when you consider that they are 11-8 to keep a clean sheet in this game, I think getting the 19-10 that couples up with a win is a big price. They failed to score last time out at home against Burnley. Last season, in the whole season, they only failed to score at home 3 times in their 23 home games. So it's not something that happens very often. And if you look at the chances they missed against Burnley, I think you can see there isn't too much to worry you in terms of their attacking output as well. Coventry, their opponents, haven't started the season particularly well, I wouldn't say, and they've had 3 away games so far. Last time out away from home, they went to Watford and put in a pretty good attacking display. They scored relatively early, but in my mind, Watford as a defensive unit versus Leeds, very, very different.
Chalk, cheese.
Chalk, meat, cheese. And what we've seen in Coventry's other 2 away games, they were far more blunted as an attacking force. Away at Stoke on opening day, they only had 1 shot on target, created very little. Bristol City away, they scored with their only shot on target. So 2 shots on target in the other 2 away games, apart from the Watford game, creating under 1 XG in both games. So, even though a Coventry side who I think have the tools to really hurt Leeds, and I think in time they will improve, I think they are struggling with their attacking output early on this season. They are struggling away from home to create too much. And I think this Leeds side is so good defensively where, they may have only kept 1 clean sheet at home so far this season. There are going to be plenty more to come, and I think this is one of those. So for them to be 4-7 to win the game in 90 minutes, but 19-10 to win it 2-0 is a good reason for me to keep the 1-0 win to rolling on.
Yeah, nice. Port Vale against Swindon is the game I'm looking at for my nap. I'm backing the home team, Port Vale, at 19-20, 1.95 in the decimal. Joint top price across the grid, AK Bets. And it's a real bit of me, this. For Vale, you can get a little bit too caught up in your opinions from the first few weeks of the season, and I was pretty negative about Vale. They did have a pretty wobbly August. They were underwhelming, but they have been better in September. And looking at the finer details, I think it's the sort of good month that could, if they win here, become a great month. And I think it could lead to Port Vale putting together a really good couple of months here, because their starting 11 is now settled. They've played the same starting 11, Darren Moore, for 3 games in a row. And I think that's a huge benefit for any team. Obviously, consistency. If you've got a starting 11 that grows together and learns each other's game and how to play with each other, that consistency is a massive benefit. But particularly, I think, for Darren Moore, I think it suits him really well. I think of Moore's best teams as having real consistency of personnel and of performance. Think of that Sheffield Wednesday side in particular. He is not someone, in my opinion, that's going to chop and change and tinker. I don't think he's someone that's going to give you standout value as a tactician game to game. But if he has good players in particular for whatever level he's managing at, and he can get them all fit and playing consistently together, I do believe that his style of management really lends itself to teams going on good runs. And I think that's what we could see for Vale starting here. And he does have really good players as well, let's make that clear. In midfield, George Byers at the base and Garrity box to box. A front 4 of Benasio Boite, who's this really talented kid on loan from Brighton. Ethan Chisler, who's a lovely player at this level. And then Tolage and Stockley as a front 2, who offer you the physicality and the size and the target to work off in the case of Stockley, whose goal-scoring record is probably better than people give him credit for. And then Tolage, who's an absolute whirlwind of activity and had some really good games already this season. And then off the bench, you're looking at Ryan Crosdale, Ben Hennigan, and then at the top end of the pitch, he can bring on Ronan Curtis, Rory Payton, and Antoine Hackford, who scored the equaliser last time out against Aki. So he's got great options for tight games when they can go on and win them. They dominated Newport and 1-4-1. Then they beat Chesterfield 1-0 without facing a shot on target, which is pretty impressive against a Chesterfield team that's good at attacking. And then a 2-2 draw last week against Aki, where they found themselves 2 down after a horror spell in the first half, but fought back, kept their heads, and scored 2 in injury time to get that equaliser. Hopefully a bit of extra momentum gained from that late show to carry into this one. As for Swindon, they've only won 1 of their 7 league games, and it was against Newport, a 4-0 win. That sort of form line that doesn't look that impressive, with Newport, who've been clearly the worst team in the league in September. Port Vale having also put 4 past them. In their away games so far, 3 draws, not poor results, but I wouldn't say they've shown loads and loads in those games to suggest that playing away from home is something that's going to sort of lead to them thriving. They lost 2-0 at home to Carlisle last time out. Some positive signs at 0-0. They are not a disastrous team, Swindon, like they were at the back end of last season. But I still don't think there's a huge amount of oomph, whether it's the team itself, the way that they're playing, but also the fan base, who I don't think is particularly inspired at this moment in time. So for me, it's a case of thinking Vale could be pretty strong from this point forwards, and I'm not convinced that Swindon are. So to be getting 19-20, that suggests 51.3% probability, as you guys will know, of a Port Vale win. For me, I think it's far higher than that, and that makes it my best bet of the weekend. Vale 19-20 to beat Swindon at home. If anyone is looking to sign up to AK Bets, use the promo code NTT100. Link in the description. You can click it. It'll take you straight through to that promotion. What it means is if your first bet is an accumulator on football with a minimum of 4 selections, AK Bets will boost the profit gained on that initial bet by 25% in the form of a free bet up to a value of £100. Further T's and C's accessible on the website. But as George said earlier, it is worthwhile to do so given the prices that they are putting up with our selections, our joint best or top of the market for all of our selections. Use the link in the description to take advantage of that sign up offer. What's your next best?
Winter nil winter.
Come on.
Keep it going.
Come on.
Steve Bruce's Blackpool to win 2-0 at home to Burton Albion at 7-4.
I wondered which of us was going to be the first to bring up Steve Bruce's Blackpool, who have started very nicely indeed.
Just goes to show you can't be blinded by prejudice. And I mean that in that I prejudged this as being quite a bad appointment. Yeah. But so far it's looking pretty good. So let's get on board. And it's not just the results. Obviously, Bruce's Blackpool have won their first 3 games, which is very impressive. But suddenly they're like the data darlings of the whole of League One. That's over the course of the whole season, not just under Bruce, where their expected goals ratio is the second best in the league. When you consider their XG ratio is positive 5, which is basically the same as Birmingham. Yet Birmingham's actual goal difference at the moment is 7 compared to Blackpool's 0. It shows they are still significantly underperforming their XG. And actually this run of wins that they're going through is probably of the sustainable sort rather than anything bouncy, as people might suggest. They kept a clean sheet last time out at Huddersfield in midweek. I watched the first half of that game, and they were just comfortably the better side in possession, out of possession, chances created in every single facet, every metric you could find. They were the better team away from home at Huddersfield. And Huddersfield posed them very, very few problems. That's a Huddersfield side who not long ago were beating Bolton 4-0. It's been a funny start for Burton Albion and Mark Robinson, who I expected to be one of the more entertaining teams in the league. And at times they have been. Like we've seen them have that crazy 3-3 draw at Mansfield. We've seen them go to Rotherham and win and draw 2-2. They've also drawn 2 games 0-0. And even though, Robinson is clearly a manager who's going to look them to get them playing on the front foot, and despite the results not being great, they're another team who are massively overperforming their expected goals for, where they've scored 8 goals this season from just 5 expected. And there are only 3 teams in League One with a worse open play expected goals figure. So I wouldn't say that they are, even in that Mansfield game itself, they were clinical rather than a constant threat compared to Mansfield, who were very good in that and probably deserved to win the game. You have a stat for me, if you can remember. I should have asked you before we went and recorded about Mark Robinson's last win in the game. 26
league matches in the EFL, all in League One actually, for Wimbledon and now Burton, without a win.
Which is a concern, even though he's someone who I think, prior to that had shown himself to have a good level of aptitude, and it wouldn't surprise me if he does improve Burton and get them where he wants to. No blame if there's a bit of a crisis of confidence going on right now within Burton and within him as to how to get a team winning a game of football again. So, yeah, Blackpool to me look comfortably the better side. I think with Burton's attacking issues and, even with Bruce being someone who, regardless of what you think of his Villa side, of his Newcastle side at times, of his Hull side, it was stale and pretty boring, but defensively pretty good. And therefore, I think at home against Burton, they shouldn't have too many issues keeping a clean sheet and winning the game. So 7-4, again, industry best, that is, with AK Bets.
My next best is a match between 2 of Steve Bruce's former clubs, West Bromwich Albion and Sheffield Wednesday. And I'm backing West Brom to win at Wednesday. That's 7-5, 2.4 joint top price AK Bets. For Wednesday, I'll start with the home team who I'm getting against here. It's 1 point from their last 5 games in the league ever since beating Argyle so handsomely on opening weekend. And the first 3 games after Argyle were pretty bleak, as you broke down very nicely on the Monday pod. The last 2 games post-international break, 1 point from games against QPR and Luton, probably doesn't tell the whole story. Their performances have improved. I would go as far as to say the performance against Luton was genuinely quite good until Deschamps Bernard got sent off for a handball on the line, and their 1-goal lead was suddenly wiped out with a penalty, ended up conceding a second goal to lose that game. Now, as of time of recording, Deshaun Bernard is suspended for this game, and that is and would be an important miss for them. Wednesday fans are quite confident that his red card might be rescinded. As we discussed on the Monday pod, I agree that it was actually wrongful dismissal, that it didn't hit the part of his anatomy that would be considered a handball, but you can't really second guess these appeals panel, so I'm working under the assumption that he is suspended here. The QPR game, you'll remember they went ahead and then immediately conceded with that ridiculous goalmouth scramble. So I think overall, performances have improved. They are better, but I still don't think they are great. They are still not performing as well as I hoped Wednesday would before the season, when I was pretty excited about them. And in particular, it's just notable to me that none of Wednesday's attacking players are basically doing anything, as far as I can tell. Barry Bannon is scoring wonderful goals, and that should be celebrated. But all the many, many players that they have in attacking midfield, wide and forward areas, very few of them are making meaningful contributions going forward at the moment. I think West Brom are a different kettle of fish to QPR and Luton, who they've played in their last 2 games. They are in rude health. We have said a lot of very positive things about West Brom over the last month, and every time we say it, they play another game and they just back them up even further. Most importantly, because Corberan's defensive chops have never been questioned, is how well they're attacking in different ways. They are attacking much better when it comes to more controlled possession, building up, trying to break down set defences. That has improved massively. Madger as a penalty box poacher is obviously a big part of that, and Tom Fellows being able to create something from nothing. But they're still a threat on the counter-attack as well, with Carlin Grant in particular very, very good at streaking away down the left-hand side. And they have that set-piece threat with Carl Bartley and Shemi Ajayi and Darnell Furlong's long throw. So they've got loads of ways of scoring, which is great when you're getting with a team. They are one of the most impressive sides in the division overall, but away from home, 3 wins out of 3. Only Birmingham and West Brom have won all their away games in the EFL. And I think at 2.4, that is a very worthy price to back them to win again this weekend at Sheffield Wednesday. So West Brom is my next best. Could you do your goal scorer next, please?
Yes, my goal scorer is Elijah Adebayo to score any time for Luton Town tomorrow night against Plymouth Argyle on Friday night on Sky Sports.
I've got 2 Claxons. Friday night Claxon. This game's on Friday night. So, not on Saturday 3 p.m.
Friday night.
Next Claxon. It's not a double goal scorer pick, but from the same game for the same team goal scorer pick.
Is yours goal scorer a long shot?
Mine's a goal scorer pick.
Wow.
I've got a separate long shot.
I'll do mine first.
Mm-hmm.
I was worried because I've got some recent history about picking out of form strikers who I think could do a goal and then they get dropped. And a small part of me is quite worried that Carlton Morris came off the bench last time out and scored twice. But I think Adebayo has been incredibly unfortunate in front of goal so far this season. And surely Rob Edwards knows with his quality and going to an Argyle side who are favourites relegation, this is not a game where you take Adebayo out. This is a game where you play him and he gets his first goal of the season and gets up and running, because
I think you play him and Morris here.
Yeah, I agree. Because he's not doing much wrong. He's had 15 shots this season and an XG of 2.59 and is yet to find the back of the net. He's hit the woodwork twice. He's had some great saves made. He's someone who has been incredibly unfortunate not to have found the back of the net as of yet. We know that he's someone whose goal scoring ability is well versed. He's someone who scored goals at this level. He's someone who scored goals at Premier League level. He's up against an Argyle side who, for all of Wayne Rooney's positivity, and I can completely understand it, their games, as was the case under Schumacher, are end to end. Even if Argyle gets something out of this game, there is, I would say, next to no chance it'll be a shutout. As in, they're not just going to completely avoid the issue of Luton attacking and creating chances. It'll be a game where they'll have to take their chances and they're going to have to suffer at times because Luton's attacking quality will hurt them. We know that Luton's means of attack is to get the ball wide and cross. Argyle's set-piece XG against is the 3rd worst in the league so far this season. Adebayo, a massive threat from set-pieces, and obviously aerially a big threat from open play as well. So I am really confident that he will have more chances in this game again, and he's too good a player to keep passing them up. So yeah, 15-8 Adebayo to score any time is my goal scorer pick. Please, Rob, with your lovely hair, do not drop Elijah Adebayo.
Please, lovely Rob, with your handsome hair.
Handsome hair? Is that a thing?
Handsome Rob with your lovely hair.
Yeah.
Please start Mark McGuinness again. I think you probably will. Because he's my goal scorer pick, and I'm putting half a point on him to score first in the same game at 50-1. And half a point on him to score anytime at 14-1. Both prices are joint top prices with AK Bets. You've done the set piece research already. Argyle have faced 6.83 shots per game just from set pieces.
Unbelievable, that.
And Luton, by any metric you can look at, looking like a top 6 team in terms of generating shots and XG from set-piece situations. They attack down the wings a lot. Lots of crossing, as George says. That generally equates to winning quite a lot of corners when crosses are blocked out for corners. And they generally look to deliver them direct to their centre-backs. And McGuinness, having joined just before the end of the window, is establishing himself as a big target. He caused carnage against Sheffield Wednesday. Had, I think, 4 shots in that game, including the one that Bernard saved on the line. And he's a big unit. And I think there's a great chance that Luton create chances from set pieces. McGuinness is going to be in the mix. I want to have a chance of the big win at 50-1, so half a point on that. And that would really create some lovely Friday night scenes. And although I'm doing gluten-free September, I think a Guinness would be on the cards if McGuinness scores either first at 50s or anytime at 14-1. I'm putting the half a point on that as well. What's your long shot?
Can I play a game with you? So I want you to get your long shot name by the first name.
Yeah.
Is your favourite amount of unit of numeracy, right? So single, tens, hundreds, thousands.
Okay, thousands.
So thousands. Your favourite gender?
No comment.
Okay, a gender.
Male.
Man. And your favourite part of a horse?
It's the worst thing you've ever done on the pod. I like the mane of a horse.
1,000 man mane. Okay. Mine is million man hoof.
Oh, nice. Well done.
Thank you. He is someone who, again, like Adebayo, is chronically underperforming his XG this season. Expected goals totaling 2.92. He scored just the 1 goal. That comes from 18 shots. I think he's 5th or 6th in the whole championship for shots taken so far this season. He's already created, his XG number is higher now this season than it was for the whole of last season, where he scored 4 goals. Again, which shows an aptitude or a ball striking ability, a finishing ability that suggests that it's going to come pretty soon. There's also a positional element here. I should say that Stoke are away at Borough, which is obviously a tough game, which is kind of why he's a bigger price. He's 11-2 best price anytime with AK Bets. But Chicho, or Narkis Pelak, the new Stoke manager, is one of his first things he did in his first game was to move Manhoof off the right hand side and play him as a kind of genuine number 10 or second striker. And against Hull, he had 5 shots, was looking to get into goal-scoring opportunities pretty consistently. So we've got a guy who is anyway getting into a lot of goal-scoring opportunities, having one of the most amount of shots in the league, with high chance quality, with high expected goals numbers, and a positional move that means that he's going to be into better positions to score as well. It kind of ticks every single box. And, Borough, despite being a short price to win this game, are struggling. They're struggling to get the results they need. They're struggling to pick up points. And I would say are fairly vulnerable at home at the moment until they start getting results. So, and also it will help Manhoof's style of play, that he will play against a side in Borough who will play a pretty high line. And we know that Manhoof is someone who's probably best at attacking in transition rather than when camped. So I can see him getting opportunities. 3 of his shots so far this season have come from fast breaks, and that's the kind of thing I'm looking for here. So, million Manhoof 11-2 to score any time for Stoke at Borough.
For my long shot, I'm looking to broadly sort of recreate what I did well last week, winning the Walsall bet where I Dutched 1-0 and 2-0. The game that I'm looking at here is Wigan against Exeter in League One, and I'm going to back Exeter to win 1-0 and 2-0, half a point on each. Exeter to win 1-0 is 9-1. The 2-0 is 18-1. AK Bet's joint top price for those. I think there's value in getting with Exeter City this weekend in this game in any way that tickles your fancy, really, whether it's straight up, whether it's draw no bet, whether it's win to nil. This is personally how I'm doing it because I had some success with it last weekend in a similar situation. It was an anti-Salford stance that is an anti-Wigan stance. I'm kind of nervous saying it because I came public with my anti-Wigan stance on this show a couple of weeks ago, and then they won 4-0. So the stance hasn't worked so far, but I'm certainly quite bullish around it. they're at home here, but their home game, I'm at the point with Wigan where I almost think they're better off playing away from home for a number of reasons to do with style of play, but also just general atmosphere at the moment. Their home games so far have been a 1-0 defeat to Charlton. They have had 2 shots on target or fewer in all of their home games so far, the other 2 having been a draw in midweek against Stevenage and a 1-0 win against Crawley, where they had 3 shots in total at home to Crawley. So 2 shots on target or fewer in 5 of their 7 league games so far, including all 3 home games. They have the worst XG per 90 in home games in the EFL so far. It's a small sample size of 3 or 4 games max for teams at the moment, but it does not reflect well on how they're playing at home. The atmosphere, I think, will be really low. They had a 0-0 against Stevenage on Tuesday where everyone was bored out of their minds. There were 7,000 there in what is a 25,000-seater stadium. I think there is a real lack of energy in Wigan home games at the moment. And they've got an Exeter team coming to town who are quite hard to work out the exact level of, given that they've won 3 and they've lost 3. Some of the teams that they've beaten, Bolton away, Rotherham at home, are almost, very impressive results. And then some of the teams that they've lost to, much less so. All of their winning scorelines have been either 1-0 or 2-0. So there's a precedent with the way that they have won their 3 games so far this season. And I quite like the character and personality of this Exeter team. Looking at the goals they've conceded, which would obviously be a killer for this bet, if they do concede one, they've almost all been glaring individual errors rather than anything like a structural issue in the defence that Gary Caldwell has set up. So I think they're well positioned to win this game if the Wigan malaise continues, as I expect it to. So I'm going to be dutching the 1-0 and the 2-0 again. Half a point on each. That's 9-1 is the 1-0 on AK Bets and 18-1 the 2-0. I should probably back 4-0 Wigan as well, just as a saver at 50s. But we won't do that because we believe in our stances. So there you have it. Those are our individual picks. Now we combine forces with an under 2.5 goals quad, which is boosted to 12-1 on the AK Bet site, and you can find it on the special section of the football section of the site. Who are your 2 contributions?
Leeds Cov in the game I've already mentioned, and my nap. Again, I think they're odds against this for under 2.5. I think Leeds, as I say, defensively so solid. I don't think Coventry will cause them too many issues. Similarly, Leeds struggling maybe a bit to hit the heights of last season's attacking output. I think 2-0, 1-0, big runners in this one. And then secondly, Stevenage Charlton. Stevenage drew 0-0 in midweek. Really struggling to create anything from open play. We've spoken a lot about Nathan Jones' Charlton being another side who are just unable seemingly to be particularly fluent in attack, but are pretty resolute defensively. So 2 sides struggling going forward, I think. All points towards a low-scoring game in that one.
Yeah, I'm contributing one from the Championship in Hull against Cardiff, under 2.5 goals. Both of these sides creating so little from open play. Even Hull's 3 goals last week in their 3-1 win against Stoke, which all came in the second half. A penalty, an absolute gift when Wilmot gave it away passing out from the back, and then an own goal as well. So I'm not buying that as Hull suddenly clicking into gear with Tim Walters attacking football. Perhaps that will lead to more confidence and more fluidity, but I'm not going to buy it just yet. And Cardiff, obviously caretaker manager after Bullock was sacked, Omar Reza in charge. Sometimes I think there's benefit to an interim manager going for the most attractive style of play possible in case you win and the fans are like, that was really fun. This guy is really fun. I think for Omar Reza, based on the squad that he has to work with here, I personally don't expect him to go like that. I think for him, his best approach is to try and just pick up a couple of positive results and try and make the most of any lag time in hiring a new manager and see if he can put himself in the frame. So Hull Cardiff under 2.5 and Leyton Orient Wrexham as well. This is almost all about Wrexham's strategy in away games. It is markedly different to how they play at home, where they are just amazing and they score tons of goals and they blitz the opposition. Phil Parkinson takes a much more conservative approach away from home, where they're obviously not benefiting from what is incredible home advantage over the last few years. They take much more of a kind of Parkinson grinders approach to things, and it works well for them. But last season in League Two, away games under 2.5 landed in 61% of their games. Their average was 2.35 goals combined in their away games. And so far this season, 2 of their 3 have gone unders, and the other one was the Birmingham game that we all watched on Sky, where Birmingham kind of blew them away. But that's not a typical game for Wrexham away from home in the league. This is much more typical, and I expect a low-scoring affair, certainly not an open affair. So Orient Wrexham unders, which means the quad at 12-1 on AK Bets is Leeds Coventry, Hull Cardiff, Leighton Orient Wrexham, and Stevenage Charlton, ahead of what is a weekend that I think is going to be just a really good one for everyone.
Is that football specific or just life?
Everything. Everyone. Life, football, betting.
I'm going on a stag do.
Whoa, I'm going to a wedding.
But I can't say where to. In case he listens.
What you can do.
He has no interest in the EFL or football, but he likes me.
Hey, what you can do.
Yeah.
Recap your selections.
Oh, right. Leeds 2-0 at home to Coventry at 19-10 is my nap. Blackpool 2-0 at 7-4 is my next best. I get home to Burton. I am backing Elijah Adebayo to score anytime for Luton tomorrow night, Friday night, under the lights, away at Argyle. And I'm backing Million Manhoof to score anytime 11-2 for Stoke City at Middlesbrough for my long shot.
Yeah, you are.
Good day.
Port Vale are my nap, 19-20 to beat Swindon at home in League 2 this weekend. My next best is West Brom to win at Sheffield Wednesday at 7-5. My goal scorer is Mark McGuinness to score for Luton against Argyle Friday night. Claxon, don't say you weren't warned. He's 14-1 to score anytime. He's 50-1 to score first. I've put half a point on each of those. And similar story, Dutching Exeter 1-0 and 2-0 in their game at Wigan this weekend as my long shot. The 1-0 is 9-1. The 2-0 is 18-1 with AK Bets. And our under 2.5 goals quad at 12s is Leeds Coventry, Hull Cardiff, Leighton Orient Wrexham, and Stevenage Charlton. So that's us. We're in high spirits. We're really excited.
Yeah.
Hope you are too. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you to AK Bets for sponsoring this show this season. Remember that there is a promo code and offer for any new customers of AK Bets. Please use the description in the show notes if you'd like to benefit from that, particularly if you're having an ACCA this weekend. That promotion is kind of made for you. So thank you, and we'll talk again on Monday. Go well.